time's sake? I don't think we've been doing it for a while now.
I mean, yeah, we haven't done a clap in ages because you know how to sync the audio up in Audition, right? Or in Premiere?
Yes. Literally, either you eyeline it or you just hit merge, and then it's good.
Oh, no, you don't even have to do that. There's a synchronize button in Premiere.
Yeah. I found that sometimes it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. It's like
it sometimes won't work, but 9 times out of 10 for stuff like this, where we have such clearly defined waveforms, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I know, listeners, that you were worried about the minutia of our editing. And let me be the first to tell you, we got it covered.
We got it dialed in. It's so sad. Before this episode started, Dillon and I were just chatting, and we had some gold. And the way we're starting our episode is talking about formatting and synchronizing audio on Premiere.
Yeah, it's true. We're having a lovely conversation about how I got this pockmark on my face and why some women smell like vanilla sometimes. And we had a really nice conversation about pie and coffee culottes from Dunkin' Donuts. But you'll never hear that because, one, most people aren't listening. And two,
coffee culottes don't exist anymore, too. I don't know if anyone else drinks them or cares about that, but they no longer exist.
Warren, I was never like a Starbucks person, and I've never really been a Dunkin' person either, but do you have Dutch Brothers in New York?
No.
Okay. It is a chain that is out here in the West. It's called Dutch Brothers Coffee, and they've got fucking weird names for their coffee. Like, one of their coffees is called the Annihilator. The other one is called, like, Torture Syndrome. It's like... It's very weird, but it is some of the best, like, coffee I've ever had. I mean, it's basically coffee, like milkshakes for the most part, but it is some next level sweet deliciousness, and I can't wait for you to have it when you eventually visit me.
I gotta try Dutch Brothers. That sounds like right up my alley, too, because when I drink coffee, I want it to be as sweet as possible. I want it to be a dessert, essentially. Because I don't like the taste of coffee. And then I'll drink a shot of espresso just to be done with it. But if I'm drinking coffee drink, give me just like a syrupy milkshake.
I think this is an interesting dichotomy because it's like, I love the way coffee desserts taste. Like, if you were to put like coffee ice cream is my favorite ice cream. If you're coffee milk, any of those things are my favorite. But if somebody was just like, do you like the taste of coffee? I'd be like, no, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. When people are like, I love coffee, it's like, really? Out of everything you could drink and eat right now, you don't want the bitter taste of coffee?
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, to each their own. Now, when you say Dutch Brothers, what I think of is, have you been to the Amish markets in Pennsylvania?
Yes. And had their amazing pies? 100%.
How incredible are those markets? They make some banging shit. But the conundrum I have with those places is, why are they allowed to use credit card machines? Doesn't that go everything? Is that against everything that they're about?
I mean, they got to make money somehow, right?
I mean, I guess. Or fluorescent lighting, like that. Is there like an Amish guy making the light bulbs to go in their facility? Like,
well, what I like to think is there's like a couple of Amish guys in the back on bicycles, just like, I cannot wait until 5 o'clock. I am
Abraham,
exhausted.
is it your shift yet? I am tired.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, for our listeners, if you ever do get a chance to go to Pennsylvania and go to a Dutch shop, they make some of the best pie in the world. Like, honest to God.
No question.
It's so good. It's
some
of the best pie in my life.
Best donuts, best... Any pastries have it covered. Best deli meats, best full-on rotisserie chicken. Just anything you'd imagine, they make the best of in a supermarket.
Yes.
So, listeners, this is kind of the vibe of this episode. We don't have anything requested for us to watch that we covered, and nothing requested of each other, recommended to each other. So we're just going to kind of talk about the state of the world and kind of topics we want to talk about. And this is Pop Culture Party People.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Welcome, everybody, to episode 30. Is it 33 now?
It's 33, yeah.
Jesus, dude. I mean, we've already gone past our year mark, which I don't think we even made that big of a deal about it. Congratulations to us.
To you. As to you. Congratulations.
And yeah, I'm liking the format of the show. Like, I like having, obviously, things that we recommend to each other, but like, we're hitting those nice summer months where there's a lot of stuff coming out, and it's not necessarily difficult to find things that we're consuming, you know? Kind of like, there's a lot of stuff that we have to watch anyway, and I'm happy to talk about it.
It's more of a thing of like, there's nothing I need to recommend that you aren't already watching, and that is amazing. I feel like the stuff that we aren't watching collectively together kind of is only mediocre, I'd say, for the large part of this summer so far.
I would say, yeah, in the broader context of what we're going to talk about today, of course. But then, of course, our recommendations are usually stuff that's a little bit older or that we think the other person didn't get to experience, from a couple of years ago.
Yes.
But we got plenty to fucking talk about in this episode.
Oh, for sure.
Like, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Candyman? We got Dave to talk about. We've got the fucking Ragnarok show. We've got things.
Loki to talk about. We have Luca to talk about. We have... let's talk about the trailers that we've been receiving lately. Candyman, the Cowboy Bebop teaser, Suicide Squad.
Okay, let's do Candyman. Let's finish on Bebop. Let's finish on the high note, of course, right? Like,
yes.
So Candyman got a new trailer today, I believe, and trailer number 2. Obviously, this film is being produced by Jordan Peele, not directed by him. It's being done by Monkey's Paw, his company. And I gotta say, I was never the biggest fan of Candyman, the original. I always thought it was a kind of a cool idea, but it wasn't the slasher that hit me in my childhood.
No.
Halloween. I really loved Halloween. But after seeing this trailer and knowing Jordan Peele's penchant for horror, I'm fucking excited, dude. This trailer got me hyped up. I cannot wait to see this, actually.
I completely agree. I would say that I was not a big fan of Candyman. It kind of freaked me out. All the being sticky and covered in honey scares me on not like a, oh my god, no, more of just kind of like, ew, like imagine your day after that.
For you, it's not the bees. It's the stickiness that really gets you.
It's the tactileness of it. It's too real.
You're like, bee stings, fine. Stickiness.
Bee stings will hopefully kill me, but the honey is going to linger.
Not only that, when you're covered in honey, you can't sit down anywhere.
No.
You're going to ruin all of your clothes. A bee sting you can work through. Being covered in honey, on the other hand, that's just a mess on every level. How am I going to ride the subway?
You can't. You're not getting an Uber. I'll tell you that right now. The driver's like, no, ride cancel. You're not getting in my car covered in delicious honey and honeycomb.
Don't get me wrong. I will transport 15 to 16 drunk women who are absolutely going to vomit into my car. But you, sir, covered in honey? I think not.
Was this Candyman cosplay? You're not getting in this car. This Toyota Camry. You're not getting in. Yeah, but I think the cast of Candyman looks incredible. I cannot wait to see it. I'm pulling up the names of the actors in it and actresses.
Well, not only that, it seems like it's going to have a good bit of humor in it. Like, this second trailer seems to be incorporating some funnier elements, and some people may or may not like that with their horror genre, but I actually think it kind of lends itself well to Candyman. The story was already kind of inherently a little bit more ridiculous, although maybe not any more ridiculous than any of our other slasher films.
Sure.
But I mean, it's a dude covered in fucking bees and honey. Right. So yeah, like maybe you lean into that a touch, And
I think they did a great way of modernizing it by making it police brutality. The original Candyman was beaten, killed by the police, which caused him to haunt the area then. So I think it's a good way of grounding it and making it more current, instead of a guy covered in bees.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, it seems like I kind of like this as well. They're not going for the like interracial taboo of it all. Like, that's a big part of the 90s Candyman, which plays into the idea of like romance and stuff like that, crossing racial boundaries, which is cool.
Yes.
But I don't necessarily think we need that message right this second in 2021. Not that we don't need the message that you should accept others for who they are and all that stuff like that, but I don't like the big part of Candyman was like how taboo it was that this white woman would be falling in love with not only a monster but like a black person. Right. It was like the monster was secondary, and that was like, yeah, no, he's got a hook for a hand, he's covered in bees, and he's like dead on the inside of the cloak, but also he's a black guy.
Yeah. The townsfolk were like, no. The scariest part, he's a black man. Candyman.
Like, ooh, wow. I don't. I mean, the hook hand thing,
Yeah.
fine, but him being black, I don't.
Yeah, the fact he's murdering people and he's got bugs and a crow hand that he's ripping people's faces off. Let's worry about that first.
Yeah, it's like, did you really think this all the way through?
Yeah. Also exciting too, 'cause it seems like the main actor is going to take over the mantle. It looks like he's transforming into Candyman. So if they continue to move it, this is like a nice remake and a launching of his now future playing Candyman.
Yeah, Mr. New Dr. Manhattan himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That guy is gorgeous. That guy is so good looking.
He's also in that episode of Black Mirror where he plays the two best friends playing the VR game, end up having sex with each other.
Dude, Anthony Mackie. I never thought, because Anthony Mackie is a great actor, but he's like super machismo, like offset. I was really encouraged to see him play a gay character or somebody struggling with his, sexuality. I was like, cool, good for you, Anthony Mackie. I didn't necessarily know if you would take that role because you didn't think it would be manly enough for you, but you did, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, not to go on a tangent with that episode, but it's the interesting thing of being like, it's not necessarily that they are like only gay, but it's also like it shows like their fetish only works in that video game too. It's like not a thing where they're gonna suddenly be together. It's like, no, like this connection here is what works for me. So it's like a layer of also being like, you can have your release at a certain place, and that's okay as well.
Yeah, that episode is really thought provoking because. As fighting game people that we are, I don't know if I would be comfortable playing that fighting game with you.
Wait, so you're not... When we play fighting games, you're not pantsless? Let me set this up now. Because we don't Skype when we're playing these games. I don't get to see your face or your body. Oh.
No, nobody has to see my body. I don't know about you. I am not... this is going to be another tangent. This is going to be a loose episode.
It's already so loose.
It's already so loose. I don't know about you, but I'm not necessarily uncomfortable being naked, but it is not the state I choose to be in when I'm by myself. Even at night when I'm like sleeping, I like to have a pair of shorts, just as I believe Brian Posehn said, in the offhand chance that I need to confront a burglar, I want to just have one layer of protection over my dick. Just one. Just something.
Yeah, I have shorts or underwear on. Honestly... I usually have shorts and a shirt on. It's only because the couch I have isn't conducive to raw skin. If that was a more comfortable couch outer layer, I would be very much naked, or at least in shorts all the time.
Yeah, leather doesn't work so well for that.
Yeah.
Talk about sticky.
Man. Okay. Let's talk about the new Suicide Squad trailer. We've talked about it throughout many of our episodes. We're huge James Gunn fans. We're looking forward to the new movie. The new trailer doesn't really highlight anything that we don't already see kind of coming, but I just want to get your thoughts on it.
So, fun fact, I haven't watched it because I have a very strict no third trailer policy. I'm very much like along the lines, if you want to give me a teaser... cool. That's usually the trailer I like the most anyway, because it doesn't really ever give anything away.
Yep.
Trailer number 2 is always like, okay, I mean, I'm glad I got to see more of the movie, but for the love of fuck, why are you revealing this right now? Like, just save it for the movie, dude. I was going to go see the movie anyway.
Yep.
And now with this third trailer, I was like, I know that they're probably going to give something away. And not that I care about spoilers in any way, shape, or form, but I was just like, I already know what Suicide Squad's going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't need a third trailer. You already got me sold. James Gunn's making a suicide movie.
Yes.
Or a suicide... James Gunn is making a suicide movie. Very heavy, super dark.
I'd see that movie, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I would 100% watch that movie. But I'm already on board. I don't need any more marketing to tell me to go watch that movie.
Agreed. And you made the right call. You're not missing out on much. You only find out that Idris Elba's character went to jail for putting Superman in the hospital for shooting with a kryptonite bullet. And you find out that there's some jokes, also some new jokes that you see on it, which is only giving away more material that you just could see in the movie instead.
Yeah, just really enjoy for the first time in a theater.
But they really had to hammer in that oh, there's this star operation to shut down. There's this star thing that's happening. So it's just like they really don't trust audiences to just be on board with crazy shit.
Do you know what my favorite marketing campaign in the history of cinema was?
All right, let me think. Can you give me like a decade that this marketing campaign was in?
Right on the cusp of 1980, but it is a film that was made in 1979.
I have no idea. I'm just going to throw a movie out there. Terminator?
Nope. Close. But it was Alien. Alien
sure.
only had one fucking trailer, one poster, and one tagline. And that shit was perfect. It was the photo of the egg, and it said, "In space, nobody can hear you scream."
Yep.
And that was it. You didn't know that it had the xenomorph in it. You didn't know Sigourney. You had no idea what that film was about. And thank fucking God that is the case. Because if you were just inundated with knowing what a xenomorph looked like in 1979, you would probably, one, never see it. Two, not have the full impact of when it finally gets onto the fucking ship. Like, that's the best thing.
You can almost argue that that's what ruined the next subsequent Aliens movie. Once you take away the fear of that one xenomorph, then it just kind of becomes a novel thing throughout it. And it's never able to recapture its gold.
No, I know a lot of people love Aliens, and as an action film, it's super fun.
Yes.
But I don't like Aliens because it does exactly what you just said. It takes away the fear of being stuck on a ship alone with this one object. I think the Alien Queen is fucking cool, but at a certain point when you just make it a big bug colony, you know, it's like Starship Troopers then.
Totally.
Just without all the, fascism.
What makes it great. That whole part of Starship Troopers, the whole Verhoeven edge to it makes it an excellent movie over Aliens, in my opinion.
Everybody who thinks Starship Troopers is a bad movie needs to, one, rewatch it, and two, listen to the Blank Check episode about Verhoeven's creation of it.
What did you... All right, so two things real quick. Eye of the Duck, our friends on that podcast are doing a Xenomorph Summer where they're covering every Aliens movie and talking about it. So a lot of things that you're saying, they share the sentiments of that as well. Quick plug for them. But also, what is your take on Prometheus? Because I feel like they wanted to recreate the feeling of Alien by creating a space movie that had a feel of Alien, but not any foreshadowing of the alien.
So, like, on the face of it, I think the idea of revealing where the xenomorph comes could be cool. Although at the end of the day, it's kind of like knowing the identity of the Joker. Does it really matter? Like, at the end of the day, it's always going to be more disappointing than what you've built up in your head, right? And two, if you are going to tell that story, I mean, I know David Lindelof takes a lot of shit for that movie. And I know that Ridley Scott had definitely something to do with it. But this whole, like... I'm going to blame it on Lindelof a little bit. This whole idea of creating all these mysteries that will never pay off is the most dissatisfying way to experience anything ever. That entire film is nothing but set up for cool things that you're like, oh, I mean, I'm down to learn about these mythical creatures that, like, created this thing and maybe created humanity in the like, that's fucking cool. And then it just leaves with a big wet fart, and it's just like, you're never gonna find out. Bye. It's like, well, thanks, I guess. Got me really excited there. I didn't realize that I could have cinematic blue balls, but you did it.
It is interesting to think of, like, hey, let's give them the backstory of xenomorphs that no one asked for, and let's give them the beginning of a story that we'll never give them the full context to. Yeah. So, in my opinion, it should have never been made. And you know what? I understand why franchise films have to exist, because that's how Hollywood makes money, I guess. But you know what? When something is as good as Alien, it's like one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. Just, like, leave it alone, man. Just, like, leave it the fuck alone. I know it's never going to happen, but same thing with like, I'm wearing a Thing shirt right now. Like, why did they remake that? Like, why? Why would you do that? I guess it seems
so
easy.
Stupid.
I don't know. Well, so my whole thing with Prometheus is I saw that first, and then I saw the aliens afterwards. I think the
You're
first
like,
Alien
wow, this was a
movie-
real downgrade in CGI.
Seeing Prometheus first, I was kind of like, oh man, I'm so in. I love the way this looks. I love the mystery of it all. Oh no, what's gonna happen next? Don't touch that snake thing. It's gonna fuck you up. And then
Ladies, that's a warning.
I think as a kid I saw Alien Resurrection first though, so I was like, I don't know the context of all of this.
Oh my god!
But why is this woman touching this like wet? Again, it's tactile and sticky things for me. I was like, why is she like cuddling this white alien baby thing?
I mean, I haven't seen Alien Resurrection in a very long time. I do remember hating that film. Just very upset with it. I do love, and they even stopped doing this in Prometheus, or I shouldn't say Prometheus, whatever the next one was after that.
Covenant?
In each of the movies, did you know that all the robots have a sequentially following name? So in the first Alien, it's Ash. Okay. In the second one, it's Bishop. In the third one, it's Call. In the fourth one, it's David. And then when they got to the fifth one, or the fourth one, whatever, it was like, no, it's William. It's like...
You had one task. It's very easy to follow, and you couldn't even do that.
Yeah, you couldn't name him Eric, Emerson, anything else? No, you were like, no, William.
Well, I guess what I'll say, though, is after going back and watching Alien, it stands out, though, as such an incredible movie. Even it stands the test of time. So the only part I was getting taken out of is when the alien crawls out from the final spacecraft. It's still a beautiful look to it. You don't see it being hidden there, but just the suit itself is a little floppy there. And
it's a touch dated, yeah. In that one specific scene, yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, well, we gotta get
no choice.
Yeah,
you could cut away, but if you're just gonna leave it there, so be it. But yeah. Anywho, loved it.
Well, speaking of space, let us talk about arguably the greatest piece of space fantasy that exists out there, and that is Cowboy Bebop.
So we got a teaser. We saw John Cho. We saw the main characters. We saw Spike.
We saw the big three.
Yeah, Faye. We saw. Why am I blanking? Jet. And they all react to hearing good old Cowboy Bebop theme music, and they're dancing to it and getting pumped up.
Is that your favorite song in the world? It might be mine. I can't hear that song without getting 100% turned.
I do love that song.
Turned.
But I only like the first 30 seconds of it. I like enough of it in the intro of the show. After that point, I'm kind of like, okay, I can listen to something else now.
Oh, no, I love that entire song. That song is nothing but hype all the way through it.
I would argue that I prefer the theme song to Neon Genesis Evangelion or the first season of Attack on Titan. Those songs, or obviously Fly High, High Q.
Well, yeah, I mean,
those songs. Those songs I actually listen to while working out. So like those songs definitely get me amped up.
I will say the Evangelion song gets you weirdly pumped as well, right? It shouldn't, because it's so soft.
It's that slow build.
It also has one of the best versions of Fly Me to the Moon, or back in the original one they had in the end credits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back in the 1997 version, they had a version of Fly Me to the Moon. Obviously, Frank Sinatra's one of seminal songs, but it was done by the same one who did the intro. And it was just a beautiful rendition of it. But I gotta say, Cowboy Bebop, I'm fucking loving the look of everybody. I will say I'm still slightly hesitant on who they picked for Faye. She's just maybe not the person who I kind of envisioned as Faye Valentine. She's a good actor. Yes. I'm going to give her a chance. Yes. But she definitely wasn't like what I was thinking of in my mind when I was thinking of Faye.
Also, Faye is like one of your biggest waifus for the long time, right? Like she...
for a lot of people, she's like the OG waifu, right? Like she's, when you were watching Adult Swim at like 3 o'clock in the morning when you were 12 years old, you were like, who the fuck is this?
This is going to be with me for a long time. It's like being the dean.
I hope this doesn't awaken anything.
Yes. That's literally what to quote that. Yeah, it's cool that they got the original composer to do the soundtrack as well for the show. Like they are on top of everything that matters to the fans. It seems really cool. I'm kind of battling internally of this thing though. John Cho is not a fan of Cowboy Bebop. He didn't start watching the show until he got on the show. So there's a part of me that's kind of like, man, I wish there was a true fan acting in it. But I also feel that a true fan wouldn't be willing to take risks, wouldn't be willing to put their own spin on it, would feel beholden in some sort of way. So like, I feel it's almost someone who can kind of take a step back and make their own call will be better in the long run than having some super fan play cosplay in a show.
Yeah, I would say that, like, one, we here at Pop Culture Party people love John Cho. We
love
that
him.
dude
Love
to
him.
death.
Yes.
Like, he is a phenomenal actor, and I am super excited to see his rendition of Spike Spiegel. But yes, it always kind of sucks to hear, like, somebody being like, oh yeah, I've never even heard of this before. I got offered the part, and then I had to do some research. And it's like, you haven't heard of one of the most influential anime of, like, the 20th century?
Like, oh, no.
Yeah,
Why would you say that? Just lie.
Yeah, just lie. Just be like, oh yeah, I used to watch it all the time. Like, I mean, see how easy that was?
Yeah,
see
literally.
how simple it was for me to pull that directly out of my ass?
Literally every Marvel actor says that. Oh yeah, I loved it. I've been reading all these comic books recently to catch up. Like, there's no way Elizabeth Olsen read House of M before she got cast as Scarlet Witch, but she still... In interviews, acts like she's a huge fan.
She fed into it, right?
Yeah.
She was like, oh, now that I know that I am Scarlet Witch, what are the biggest things that Scarlet Witch has ever done? House of M? Perfect. If I just say the letter M, people will think I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And now, admittedly, she probably has read House of M, and that's awesome. And I think it's cool that John Cho is going to get to experience Cowboy Bebop for the first time and doing all the research and stuff like that. But yeah, as somebody... people like us, who, and you especially, who would potentially love to get offered a role like that.
Yeah, someone who's like was maybe thinking that one day they could play Spike. I don't know.
But
honestly, I never would have. I don't have the body type. Spike is this long,
you're not gangly
guy.
enough.
No, there's no way. But yeah, maybe some random. I want to be. You know what? If I could be any Cowboy Bebop character. I don't even know his name, but I want to play that crazy, like, floating clown guy that Spike can't seem to beat up. Give me that. I was
about to say that's my character, Warren. I'm huge.
No.
Why are you choosing that dude? You have to gain so much weight.
I don't care. Let me just be this crazy, floating, worst character to deal with for Spike.
Dude, that's one of the best episodes of Bebop. That episode comes out of fucking nowhere, too. It's just like, what is happening? Why is this dude so terrifying? But yeah, no, I'm very excited about it. But that should bring us up to our next topic, because Netflix just came out with a new anime that we were pretty excited for.
Big time.
The premise is really fucking cool.
Yes.
And it kind of falls in parallel with another manga that we love, and anime subsequently that also exists. And they came out with a new show called Ragnarok.
Yeah, Record of Ragnarok.
Record of Ragnarok. And this is an anime that is... on the surface, such a cool idea. The gods are done with humanity.
Yes.
They want nothing to do with them anymore, and they're going to enact Ragnarok. They're going to kill all of human civilization.
Yes.
And they put it to a vote, and one lone half-god, half-human, a Valkyrie, by the name of Brumhilda, which, great name, stands up for humanity and is like, no... humanity's going to have one last shot at this. So we're going to bring the best of humanity to fight the gods. And we're going to have all these amazing, iconic people from history interwoven with mythology. And me and Warren at this point are just like, inject this directly into my veins.
Totally.
I couldn't get any more of this.
Because it's not just one mythology. It's every mythology. You have Greek, you have Norse, you have Indian, you have Japanese, you have Chinese.
It's every god that's ever existed. Any form of mythology is on the table, and any person from history is on the table.
All but Jesus Christ and, like, the God have yet to show up.
Yeah. And also Muhammad, because,
Yes.
they want to make the show and not die.
So, yeah, it's like it's a great battle shonen anime. It should be pretty easy, pretty standard. Just create beautiful fight scenes that people are going to fall in love with. You already have Baki on Netflix, which is literally just that. Famous fighters fighting against each other. And this show seems to have been rushed out so quickly that the animation budget went out the window. One of the initial fights is Zeus versus Adam from Adam and Eve. And for their big clash, instead of animating these big punches and swings, they just take the still images colored in from the manga and slowly move them out of position for another one to come into play. It's a visual novel again, like we saw in House Husband.
Well, I would say it's like one step up above House Husband is quite literally manga panels that they add some motion to. So
I don't know. I would argue that House Husband's better because they actually mask out the actual characters so they can scale them around. With Record of Ragnarok, they just keep the original image and just slide it around with the lines flying by.
So we wanted to talk about this because obviously me and Warren love anime. Like it's a big part of our lives. It's something that if we were ever given the opportunity to potentially direct or write an anime, we would in a fucking heartbeat. It would be a dream to be involved in something like that. Mm-hmm. And when you see this level of, I don't even want to say craftsmanship, like this level of not care.
Yeah, it's laziness or rushed. It's just why even put it out?
It's one of those things that as you're watching it, you're like, I am really upset right now because this is something that I should love. Mm-hmm. It's got all of the elements that I'm looking for, and they're just dropping the ball, not on the animation, but also just the writing and like some of the voice acting. I watched the first 2 episodes in the dub and the next 2 episodes, I'm only on episode 4, in the sub. And both are just like these hammy, over-the-top, like ridiculous things. And it's like, anime is so much more than that. It is such a beautiful, complex, incredible medium that can have its ham and eat it too if it wants to. But at the end of the day, like that shouldn't be the thing that you're striving for.
Exactly. It's also just like anime fans are built into the fact that you're at the wait potentially 2 to maybe 10 years for your next season of a show you really care about to come out. And perhaps that next season may never come out at all. So it's like, why rush it when your fan base is already ready and willing to wait for a good product? In fact, your fan base is willing to buy the Blu-ray for an even more unfinished product than they got on live television. So to see this such a smack in the face, it's like you don't get the point. It's so much of like anime is trending, kids want to watch anime and ingest it. Just give it to them. Give as much as they can take so they keep watching our platform. And it's just the wrong lesson to be
well, this kind of goes back to the thing that we talked about before. Like it's like a reverse Mura, right? Mm-hmm. Like Mura was so dedicated to making his manga Berserk look good that he would take months, if not years, to put out panels. That also coincided with his illness, of course, but getting a Berserk chapter was like being bestowed with a beautiful piece of art that you knew the artist took a lot of time and attention to make. And that is true about things that were made by Satoshi Kon and all these other amazing mangakas out there who really devote their life to this. And yeah, it's kind of annoying to see Netflix kind of just coming onto the scene and being like, oh, this is popular. How can we make this as cheaply and as quickly as humanly possible just so that we can say that we make anime? Yes. And that is not the way to do it. That's not the way to respect the culture that it comes from. That's not the way to respect the animation and history behind it. Like, it's just a shitty thing to do. And it kind of reminds me of, did you ever watch that awful fucking documentary on Netflix called Why Anime, or like What is Anime, or some shit like that?
I watched like 2 minutes of it and I turned it off. I was like, this is fucking garbage.
Yeah, this is a fucking travesty and it's upsetting.
This is a dad. This is a producer. What am I trying to say? This is a producer who had a kid who likes anime. And I'm like, wait, how do I bond with my kid? Oh, let me make a documentary about this weird art form that I don't understand, but I'm trying to respect.
Yeah, and let me get a host who doesn't know anything about anime, talk to these amazing creators, and ask them the most inane, stupid questions that you could possibly think of.
So do you use a pencil or a pen?
And it's just, and we're not trying to sound like gatekeeping assholes or anything like that. All we're asking is that you do what Warren just said and be like, take the time to make it good. We will wait for it. We've been waiting years and years for these properties. Look at fucking Evangelion. People will wait decades for that fucking shit to be done right.
Yep. It's oh my god, it's like such a tough thing because there's so many magnificent animes coming out. You just this year alone, you had Jujutsu Kaisen. Maybe I'm probably getting the years off, but let me just list off some recent animes that are killing. Jujutsu Kaisen, To Your Eternity, and it's like those are monumental animes that will stand the test of time, and they look beautiful as well. So like, why rush it out, and then just have your content be kind of lost the wind and no one kind of wanting to watch it? Like, no one was demanding a Record of Ragnarok anime.
Yeah.
So like,
there's nobody who was like, if I don't get fucking Record of Ragnarok, I'm gonna burn this world to the ground.
But I can tell you what, Tower of God, people have been demanding that for anime a long time, and thank God Crunchyroll bought that property to animate it. And the next season of that probably won't come out for 2 years, and that story is so fucking long. It's never gonna get to where the webtoon is at. It's gonna take 50,000 seasons to catch up. But it's like, if you treat your fans right, they're gonna wait for that anime. They're gonna watch it. They're gonna love it. With Record of Ragnarok, now it's kind of like, I could give a fuck less about it. I don't even want to read the manga anymore, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the exact same way. Like, you took something that could have made me not only like a lifelong fan potentially, but like now I'm not even really jazzed to read the manga, and that's probably not fair to the manga. It is probably much better, but like you just said, there are so many amazing, incredible things happening in the anime world right now. Like, if this is what you're going to offer me, I just have to move on to the next thing that is being really highly recommended to me.
Totally. It makes me kind of disheartened on all Netflix original animes too. It's like, you guys have really fucked up anything that's been kind of thrown your way, and it's
with a very few exceptions, like
yeah,
Castlevania and stuff like that. But that's Western in its style anyway. Obviously, it's, you know. But I can't. Yeah, I can only think of a couple Netflix animes that are actively worth your time.
Right. I'll give you the time to think on it.
No, that's actually really... No, the Cannon Busters was pretty interesting.
Was it, though?
The animation was good. The story wasn't... The animation... Yeah. The story wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but I was like, oh, this is a very good-looking animated show.
Yes, it wanted to be Trigun so badly, but...
Dude, that's the weird thing. Apart from Trigun, I am not really like a Western person. I mean, like, Desert Punk is also kind of good, but that's not like my flavor.
And Cowboy Bebop is like borderline Western.
It is, but it mostly takes place in space.
Yes.
There are definitely episodes that are like straight. I think they used panels from Trigun. Like,
for sure.
They were literally working down the hall, and they were like, "Yeah, do you just have some desert shots? Like, what about like a saloon? Can we borrow
Guys,
it?
I'm so tired. Please, desert shot."
But I mean, Trigun's the big daddy for that, and I think because I love Trigun so much, maybe another one can't live up to it, because that's like the perfect encapsulation of a dystopian desert anime.
It's also like we are getting to an interesting
I'm sorry,
age.
My cats are acting like a bunch of assholes.
Do they want to get in on this anime conversation? Is that what they're freaking out about?
I think they just want to run around my fucking bed.
Seeing your cats run around makes me really miss having cats.
Dude, I feel so bad for you. Obviously, you have a beautiful, adorable puppy.
Yes.
Who is available to be seen at As Told by Ginger Pup on Instagram.
Thank you.
But we're going to take a little time right now to address the fact that me and Warren are cat people.
Big, huge cat people.
I know that Warren is in love with a woman who is allergic to cats, which was a pretty hard blow to accept.
It was a tough decision to make. It was a thing that my next door neighbor came out of his apartment and he saw I had my dog. I had her in a hamper because I just cleaned her bed. She looked really cute, and she like jumped out, started playing with my neighbor, and he's like, "Oh my god, she's so cute. I have a cat, and my cat doesn't do this at all for me." And my first instinct was like, "Do you want to trade?" My first instinct was like, "Man, I want that. I want you. If you want to trade, man, I'll trade her right the fuck now."
Like a fucking Pokemon. Like, dude, I just want your Blastoise so bad. I don't care about Charizard. Just please, for the love of God.
You have unfriendly cat? I'll trade you hyperactive puppy any day, man. You tell me. I don't care what level it is. I don't care what age it's at. Let's trade now, man.
Dude, I feel the same way. And now that I've had these guys for over a year now. Actually, I hit my year from adoption thing a couple of weeks ago. Thank you. The level of joy that these little fucks have given me is insane. Like, I didn't know that I could love/hate anything more.
Yeah, they're so entertaining
bastards.
because they're such shitheads. But when they cuddle with you and kind of look at your face with those big eyes, everything just kind of disappears.
100%. It all melts away, and especially with how bad COVID was. Like, that was one of the things that was like my linchpin, because I knew I was spiraling pretty bad, and I was like, maybe I should adopt something so that I have to take care of something that isn't
smart.
me, so I don't go insane. Maybe that's a good idea, and it was. And I love cats to fucking death. They're just the best animals, and I know that there are plenty of dog people out there, and I like dogs, I do, but the level of maintenance to love with a cat is just so wonderful. They require almost no work.
I have a story to tell that links my puppy and the state of anime in the world right now. As of course I have to walk my puppy. As we're walking a cute puppy, you're gonna make friends. There's a local park there. I'm walking my puppy there, and this woman brings her cute little chocolate lab, 1 year old, and they're playing, and we're kind of talking about dogs, yada yada yada, this and that. Somehow we get the conversation about her daughter and how she just loves anime. She was trying to think of like the exact term that her daughter is. I was like, oh, she's an otaku, and she's like, I don't know. She likes like really tiny.
She's a yandere. We've noticed a lot of disappearances in her male classmates.
Yeah. What she was trying to explain was like, she likes chibi girls, like really tiny girls in maid outfits, and just like kind of dance around being cute. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. And then
sounds like a fucking weeb.
Huge. That's all she likes to watch. And the mom was lamenting. She was like, man, I remember we used to sit down and like watch movies together, and now I'm like, hey baby, let's watch a movie. She's like, it has to be anime. And mom was like, all right, let's watch something. And then she's like, she'll be laughing, my daughter will be laughing at something, and I'll have to ask her, is this funny? Is this funny to you? And the daughter will be like, yes, it's funny. And the mom's like, I just have to know whether I should be laughing or not right now, because I can't tell. I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, this is. You need to ease people into anime. You can't just throw them into a chibi hot maid show. Like, you need to ease them in. You give them a little Naruto. You give them a touch of Dragon Ball. You give them a little Sailor Moon. This poor fucking kid is throwing the mom into the deep end.
So then the mom's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I just don't know how to connect with my daughter anymore. And I was like, do you have HBO? She's like, yeah. I was like, you should go to Studio Ghibli and watch a Hayao Miyazaki movie. And for you, it's a really easy story to follow. It's got beautiful voice acting. And for her, it's glorious anime. And she's like, all right, I'll give that a shot. So I'm hoping the next round of walks, I'll see her and check in on that.
One, for talking to a person in New York, one of the hardest things to do in general. And two, actively just being like, hey, look, I've got a solution to your problem.
Yeah.
And also, you may want to curtail your daughter's weebier tendencies, because this could lead to some intense bullying in later life. Just some shocking amounts of roughhousing.
I don't know, man. Anime is so in the zeitgeist that it's like so cool. I see so many kids alright, so like for us, we would get bullied obviously and be kind of like teased for watching anime. But the coolest kids are wearing graphic tees with anime on it. The coolest kids are just like being like,
that's absolutely true.
You silly baka.
Because we fucking paved the goddamn way.
Yeah, damn right.
We had to go through people being like, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah. And us being like, no, please believe me, it's really good. You really have to understand. And like, I remember the first time my dad saw me watching Dragon Ball, and they're of course powering up into Super Saiyan, and he's like, I don't understand why you watch a show that's 90% yelling. He's like, I just don't. I'm like, it's so much more than that. And he's like, it's not.
And that's because that's all I hear in my head.
Yeah, because every time I see you watching the show, somebody is yelling or screaming their head off. And I was just like, noted. But they're like apes, man.
Yeah.
They're like a warrior race.
you tell someone to watch it with you, and the first scene is like tits jiggling on screen, and you're like, no, it's not that type of show. No,
we didn't even fucking mention that from fucking Ragnarok. Has quite arguably the most ridiculous form of fan service in the world. Aphrodite, the god of love, literally has to have 2 servants holding her breasts up because she would snap in half like a fucking twig because that's how giant they drew her boobs. God damn it, I hate that show so much.
Yeah, it's a letdown. It's a real letdown. Anime.
You know what isn't a letdown? The new season of Dave.
I would disagree.
Really?
Yeah. You say your piece and I'll say mine afterward.
I was about to say, I loved the first season of Dave, and I was very excited for season 2 to come back. And I think that much like Atlanta, season 2, I'm on board. It seems like it's going to be a slightly darker season. It seems like they're going to go maybe in a little bit more artistic way.
Yep.
And I'm here for it. I think the first episode was slightly problematic, but I mean, that's kind of what Dave is for the most part, right?
It's problematic, and he looks like the asshole, though. You know, he's not getting away with it.
That's the point of that whole episode is being like, you are a cultural appropriation piece of shit. Like, don't fucking do this. That's awful. But I'm interested to hear why you haven't been so on board with it.
So I think kind of going, it's darker in tone. I don't necessarily like that. I thought for the show it was a nice blend of kind of comedy with being dark, but Dave in himself wasn't this sad guy. I guess him taking the risk of being like, I have writer's block as a character is really interesting to see that on screen and showing how tough it is to be an artist. I really respect that. But what I kind of don't like is everyone is ragging on Gaeta. So like Gaeta in the first season was kind of this like anomaly of like, where is he coming from? What's his whole story? And when you get the context, you really humanize him and you understand what he's going through.
Yeah, when you get that Gaeta episode, it's probably one of the best. That probably is the best episode of the first season, where you're like, up to that point, you're kind of annoyed with that character as well. You're kind of just like, this dude seems kind of like he's leeching off of this person and is not somebody that you want in your corner, right? And then they, of course, give him that beautiful episode, and you're like, oh man, Gaeta's the fucking best.
Yeah, he's suffering from bipolar disorder, and he's never got help for it. He never had a community of friends understand him for that, or appreciate who he is. But now every kind of cut to Gaeta is kind of like, oh, shut up, Gaeta. All right, whatever, Gaeta. All right, enough of you, Gaeta. And it's like, oh, I don't really like that he's become like that, like just like pesky friend. I feel like that loses the charm of it all, you know? Like,
you want him to have an evolution just like everybody else is having an evolution inside the context of the show, right?
Yeah. I don't like when a character is a punching bag on a show that's undeserving of it. Like a Dwight being a punching bag makes sense, even though I don't like The Office. I'll say that to the death of me. But I think like. So, like, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't know, the sad tone, the sad artist tone, I'm not on board for. I don't know. I think I trust the process. I trust everyone making that show because they are really intelligent and they make good content. I'm just not feeling it early on. So I
was about to say, I do trust this, and I actually think that going dark in the beginning of the season makes sense, right? Like, one, he's coming off of the first season being a big success. Same thing with when he kind of hit it big on the internet, right?
Yes.
And then the idea that you have to now live up to these expectations, create an album, create a film, create this thing. Like, the pressure of that, I don't think can be understated. And I think for a lot of people who maybe don't understand how fucking difficult it is to create anything and put yourself out into the world, might take that for granted, and I guess you need episodes like that to kind of
really humanize it.
Yes, and humanize it and internalize it.
Also puts us in a place that we'll never experience. So it's like, okay, man, that's really tough. I can only imagine how hard that must be.
I mean, we don't have to imagine it. We do it all the fucking time.
But we can't imagine being like a multi-million viewed artist, then being like, hey, make your first album, put it out, having a record label tap us on the shoulder, be like, when are you putting that out?
Yeah, I guess that's true. We haven't hit that level of success. Yeah, we haven't hit that level of success yet. We don't know what it feels like to actively have the world watching. Well, maybe not the world, but like thousands, if not millions of people being like, hey, we want your shit. Where the fuck is it?
Yeah. We don't know the fear of success yet. We know the fear of failure. We don't know the fear of success. And it's a great way of showcasing the fear of success. Like, oh, you succeeded your dream. Your goals came true. Now you have to live up to that now. And I have to take it to the next level. So it is really powerful stuff. And it shows him being such an asshole. It takes such a risk. He's making himself look so pathetic. And like when in the second episode, he has a terrible time at the party. His good friend is now gone Hollywood. He's super successful. Has all these friends. Dave is still this dork who can't really seem to fit in now. And then the way he kind of boosts his ego is like he picks up a fan and takes her home. And the process doesn't feel like a reward or like, yeah, that's my guy. It feels so sad and like, damn, man, like this is what you need for yourself right now. Like you have no other release that you have to do this. And it's a thing of like he wants to be better than it, but at the end of the day, he can't be. He's a weak human.
Yeah, and I love the idea of any show being like, our protagonist is super flawed.
Yeah.
Like he is very narcissistic, super hungry for attention, is not a good person, but is a good person.
Yes.
Like, in the process of trying to do all these things, he is not being a great person.
Yes.
But underneath all of that, he is also struggling with the fact that it is corrupting and ruining him.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't stop him from acting like a complete asshole. And that's where you as a viewer have to kind of be like, you put yourself in their shoes. Like, would you potentially change who you were as a person if fame was involved?
Yeah.
And I think anybody under those circumstances would potentially do that. Now, for better or for ill, that's just kind of the nature of the beast, right? Like, if you've got everyone watching you, you will change the way that you do things, for better or for worse. It's just
sooner or later
the nature of being under a microscope.
You have to,
And I think the show does a phenomenal job of showing that. Almost in a it does it in a different way than Atlanta, because Atlanta is them for the first 2 seasons really struggling, right?
Yes.
Like you're seeing very much kind of like our story to a certain degree of just like failing repeatedly, but inching forward little by little until Paperboy, of course, is going off on his first big tour, and of course Donald Glover's character is making the decision to hide a gun in somebody's fucking bag,
rival's bag.
To be a fucking good music producer, and you're like, all right, damn. And fuck, I hope that gets another season. Please.
They're filming it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Dave is kind of the reverse of that. Dave is very much about the fact that, like, it's success now. It's full success time, and it's really fucking with his life. And yeah, I don't know. I'm here for it. I really like it, and especially after knowing how season 1 turned out, I can't wait to see how this one goes. But I do hear your criticisms of it and understand it.
I'm here for it, and my feeling is the next episodes are going to be him coming out with music again, which is going to make me fall in love with it again. You know, seeing him, the hook of the show is seeing him perform. When in season 1, where he was trapped in the record studio, and they were like, rap, rap, rap. When he finally raps, it warms your heart. You're like, oh, I'm rooting for this underdog. He's doing it now. So this is a good way of resetting the bar of like, oh, he's down low. So when I give you this, what you want from him, you're just going to feel good and be back on his side. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm all for it. Did you watch Luca on Disney Plus?
I did not. I've been pretty disappointed with Pixar recently. And is it free on Disney Plus?
It's free.
Oh, okay. Maybe I thought it was like all the other Disney movies where it's like, oh, this is $30, and it's like, I'm gonna wait. That's totally fine.
It had all the makings of that, and they didn't do it.
No, I haven't seen it. I know that it's been catching some mixed reviews. I know that it's been kind of being championed in the LGBTQ community for its potential portrayal of young gay mermaids, right?
Sure.
Like that's what they are?
Yep.
But no, I haven't seen it. Please sell it to me, because it did not look like a rousing good time. It kind of just looked like a run-of-the-mill animated film.
It is, because the story's kind of like that, and it looks kind of like that. But what you're getting, if you need it, is this beautiful telling of a community being built by 2 outcasts. It's telling us a great story of two outcasts who are trying to be confident, who are trying to find themselves. One who's being overly arrogant to make up for their insecurities. One who is then using his growing vast knowledge to learn more about the world, and that's essentially what pulls them apart. But then their love for each other pulls them back together.
Would you recommend it?
I'd recommend it as a background movie because you'll be able to follow the jokes and be able to follow things going on. A lot of the ways I view things is due to this monitor. I'm able to have a video game being played with another screen here of whatever I want to watch. And I think
the best way to watch
beautifully
a film.
there. Yes.
Quite literally the way the filmmakers intended it.
Yeah. But I think
half of our audience will be playing, I believe, Fortnite and also watching the film.
Luca.
So please try and incorporate some of the dances into
and that's the
into
thing.
the
It's like, I
film.
think they gave it for free because they knew that it was just kind of like, we need more content for our platform. We can take the hit on this. Just watch it. People just watch it.
But that is really sad to me because obviously Pixar used to be this juggernaut, right? Like Pixar was the studio when it came to animation, where it was like every film that they put out, you knew at some level of its creation was going to be a masterpiece. And then once Cars happened, they were really just like, I mean, maybe we'll make some good stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll just be a regular animation studio that doesn't put the same thought and care into our stuff. And that's really fucking sad to see.
It's the same theme we've been talking about this episode. You know, it's the same thing anime is going through. You know, at a certain point, it's like it's more important for these studios to just put stuff out than it is to take a lot of time on something. Not to say that Pixar does that all the time, but clearly it's an example of just like, hey, we got another due date. What can we make for that?
Dude, I would be so much happier if there was less stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Honest to God, if you wanted to make more quality and less quantity, fucking do it. Please. Like, I think one of the reasons why A24 is so fucking beloved by so many people is because they only make like 2 or 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's not the most financially like interesting capitalistic way to go about holding a business, right? You always want to be making more and more, make more money. Just make as much money as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But I just, for the love of fucking God, I want to move away from that model.
It's
like
tough
the
to...
idea...
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, the idea that you have to have exponential growth every single year until the company implodes is... It's so unbelievable and it's just, it boggles my mind that that's the model.
I completely agree with you, but you can't hold Disney to that standard. It's fucking Disney. They're buying Marvel, they're buying Fox, they're buying all these properties. Like, they're a Goliath that's only going to continue trying to grow and grow and grow. So they have no choice but to put fucking content out. It's like, if it was like a small studio putting out bullshit, if it's, say it's a YouTube channel making animated features and they're putting shit out every week and it doesn't look very good. It's like, well, guys, maybe you should slow down and try to get yourself better. But when you're fucking Pixar, when you're affiliated with Disney, I don't think they care anymore, man. They're just putting the shit out. But then at the same time, I think my argument falls to pieces when I watch Loki, because that looks fucking wonderful. Loki.
I guess it depends on the team, right? It depends on who's really working on it. And maybe Luca was just created by people who are... They clearly loved it, right? More than enough to... Like, making any film is very difficult. I'll even say this about, like, the dudes who make Asylum movies. Like, those awful bargain bin Transformer knockoff films. It's still difficult to make those. And I give anybody props for actively going out and creating something.
Right.
But just like with what we talked about with Record of Ragnarok, I want you to take the time to create something that you are proud of, like, and your team is proud of, and that people can go, oh, that was great.
Well,
even if it wasn't my cup of tea, I could appreciate what they tried to do.
All right, this is how I'll finish my review of Luca. I think the only proper way to rank a Pixar movie is how many times did you cry. Okay, that one that tells a story about you as an emotionally aware person, and 2, it says that how successful Pixar did of making you cry. With Luca, I cried twice. So
See, seems really high. How many times did you cry at Coco?
Coco, I had one huge cry when he, with Mama Imelda, came out of her dementia, because my grandfather suffered from Alzheimer's. So that really hit me home. Yes. So I didn't stop crying. I didn't hear the end of the movie. I didn't see it because I was crying so hard.
You were somebody in the theater was like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Like, it's not that sad, bro, and you're by yourself. We're calling the cops. So yeah, okay. That's my critique on Luca.
All right, I will. Seeing as it's free and I don't have to spend $30 on it, I will watch it for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say that I'm like excited about it. Like it's there and it's something to watch.
I think what always boggles my mind is, why is Jacob Tremblay playing the main boy instead of an Italian-American actor? Maybe he is, but there's a lot of like real Italian sayings and a lot of real Italian accents. The time just kind of feels like, if this was a Chinese-American movie, I'd be fucking pissed if Jacob Tremblay was voicing the main character. So that's where I kind of come in with that.
I mean, I guess. Like, I don't get upset. No white person gets upset about shit like that. Like, why would you? We're doing fine.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about, or we basically wrapped, my friend?
I guess we could talk about... Yeah, let's just end there. We're at an hour. We could keep talking about anything, but let's just end there.
We hit that sweet hour mark, and you know what that means.
Love to talk
it means
about
get the fuck out of this show.
Love to talk about Loki, but we don't have to talk about Loki.
Well, this is what we've talked about Loki in 2 episodes now. What we need to do is just let the show finish, and then we need to have our wrap up.
It's just so interesting, this episode. They introduced not only Lady Loki, but bisexual Loki. Like, that is so much fun.
That is true.
Yep.
And I think it's super interesting. Although I will say this past episode was a little boring to me. They definitely took it like slower in this one. I had a little bit more like kind of like a bottle episode, They're like strapped on this planet, and you're finding out a little bit, and you're like, oh, Loki is bisexual. That makes sense. Like that feels right. And then you're like, you got Lady Loki, and you're like, okay, she's got different moveset. That's kind of cool.
And it's kind of cool they're playing on this whole like, are they gonna fuck? Like the whole question, like, if you met yourself, would you fuck yourself?
That's true. Do you think that if would you fuck the female version of you?
No, I would hate the female version of me. I'd be like, I don't like you. Get the fuck away from me.
Took the words directly out of my mouth. I think I would absolutely be like, I barely exist.
Yeah.
I can't believe there are 2 of us. I am so upset by this.
I'd be like, we're arguing every time we're talking to each other. This is not working out. We gotta go somewhere else. I think this episode, we'll quickly talk about it. It was slow. It was full of action to make up for that. But I think they're trying to have Lady Loki take over the mantle. So they're trying to have the audience fall in love with her. I think Tommy Hiddleston's over playing Loki. It's been 10 years.
I could see that, and I think it would be cool if that was the direction that they went, especially with all of that, with the show opening up the possibilities of like multiple dimensions and the idea that we're going to be doing this multiverse thing. It's like, yeah, I think that's a really cool way to keep the character alive, but not have poor Tommy Hiddleston be like, hey, I want to do a movie that isn't in the Marvel franchise. Is that possible? Can I do that, please?
Yeah. This black hair dye you're putting in my hair is too much. I quit.
Yeah. I am quite literally losing it because it's killing my scalp. So maybe we can transition into having like a badass female character. Is everybody cool with that? Everybody good with that? Awesome.
All right. Bye-bye.
I haven't seen my wife in 10 years. I miss her.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, I love the show. I'm so excited that this is like what they're doing, what Disney is capable of doing, I should say, with these Marvel shows.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. But also, like, this episode wasn't as good in my opinion because they have barely any of the TVA, and they don't have any Owen Wilson. It's all these characters that I'm like, I like all these fucking characters. Don't get me wrong, I like Loki a lot, and I'm interested in Lady Loki. But like, where's my fucking Owen Will?
Where's
Give me that
entourage?
Wow.
Wow, he ran away. What's up with that?
Wow.
Hey, what's going on? Wait. You told her what? What happened?
That's not a bad omen. It's definitely better than your David Chang.
Yeah, my David Chang is, I'm mad because I can't have what I want. Oh, you telling me that I can't have Domino's and my best pizza in New York? Oh my God, I'm a celebrity chef. I can't have what I want.
Spot on. Perfect intonation. It was like you channeled him, honestly.
Yeah, I have to take a shower now because...
I think that's a perfect way to end this episode of Pop Culture Party People. Warren, you got anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Nope. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.
Same. I don't have anything to plug except for my new feature film that I am in the process of making called More Than Monogamy is currently running a crowdfunding campaign. So please go to Seed and Spark and look up More Than Monogamy. And if you can, please donate. Any dollar amount helps. And even if you can't donate, please follow the film. That's also really helpful for gaining awareness on the platform. Apart from that, we're the Pop Culture Party People. We put the cult in pop culture.
Bye.
Bye.